Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me in my video. Today we will be drawing Sally from the movie The Nightmare Before Christmas. Sally is the third piece in my little series of Halloween movies. You can find the videos of Lydia Dietz and Wednesday Addams if you want to see more of my stuff. A rundown of the tools for this video. The paper is the Strathmore toned paper. I'm using a Pentel pocket brush pen, which, as I mentioned in my last video, that was the first time I had used it. So this is just the second time, and still getting the hang of it, still trying to figure some things out. I think as I went along, it got easier to use, a little, like I was able to get the brush strokes to do what I wanted them to do, but it's a little iffy at the beginning. I'm still working on it, still figuring it out. You might even be able to tell. I think the hair really got away from me, brush wise, so I'm still learning, still figuring out how to do it. So I mean, it's a process, a lifelong journey, so it's still fun, still good. I did eventually use a Copic Multiliner pen to clean up a couple areas that I felt really needed to be cleaned up some, and I just couldn't figure out how to do it quite right with the brush pen yet. I also used the Copic sketch markers for the grays and a white color pencil for all the highlights. I mentioned in the other two movies that I actually hadn't seen those movies until really just a couple years ago. Nightmare Before Christmas I had seen much earlier than that. I didn't see it as a kid. I very distinctly remember seeing all the previews and trailers. I still remember the one trailer that starts with like the cat howling siren, and it just scared me so much. Like, it stressed me out, creeped me out, like as a very small child. So I didn't watch it as a kid, but I did watch it later. Was it maybe in high school? I don't remember the exact time, but it was earlier than I'd watched, the other two movies that I mentioned. Sally has always been my favorite character from the movie. She's so sweet and so lovely, and so much fun to draw. I've drawn her multiple times. I'm not even sure how many. Definitely, multiple times around Halloween. You could probably go on either like my Tumblr, maybe my Twitter. You'd be able to find some older drawings that I've done of Sally over the years. She's definitely a favorite. But I love this movie. I really enjoyed it. Like, it's like just the perfect blend of like a little bit spooky but so sweet and just absolutely beautifully done. I am a huge fan of stop motion animation. The director for Nightmare Before Christmas, Henry Selick, I am a huge fan of his work. Even before I saw Nightmare Before Christmas, his movie James and the Giant Peach was one of my absolute favorites to watch growing up. So good. Just the artistry and technique that goes into stop motion is absolutely incredible. And definitely another big part of the Nightmare Before Christmas movie is the soundtrack. It's so good. Like, it really is just the ideal soundtrack for October. With Danny Elfman, not only just like the score, but like the songs, the lyrics, the performance, it's all so great. If you have any suggestions for any of your favorite movies to watch during Halloween, I would love to hear those. And here you can see is where I brought in the Multiliner because, like I said, I was a little unsure with the pen brush and the control that I had with it, especially at the beginning. So I went back, I tried to clean up a little bit, and then here, like as I also said at the beginning, I felt like the hair really got away from me. Probably should have planned it out maybe a little better, thought more about what I was doing, but I did also know that I was already planning on filling it in with the brush with like the gray color. So I hoped that it would all come together, and I think in the end it did work. I'm pleased enough with the end result. But it's always fun, you know, working in the hair, building up highlights, building up the darks. Also, I hadn't mentioned before, this is the first time I've tried out the Copic markers. Typically with Copic markers, you would use something really smooth, like Bristol board or, you know, some variety of smooth paper. Whereas this tone paper, it has a bit of texture to it, and you might be able to notice in some parts where, like especially on the bottom part of her dress, where it didn't seem to blend completely, and I think this paper, I don't necessarily mind it, but I do think that this paper soaks up the marker ink a little differently. It's a little odd. I think it still works, like, you know, the total presentation of, you know, getting the grayscale and using the toned paper to achieve that, I think works well. I think I was able to, like, you know, accomplish what I set out to do art-wise. But I don't know. I mean, obviously, like, it's always good to try out different materials, different ways of doing things just to see what might work. But I don't know if I would necessarily recommend this paper if it's like your first time using markers, just because like the blending and it does soak in a little odd. This part is just so fun. I love being able to add the bright white. Just, you know, it just helps to make everything pop. Like it pops out her figure, the flower, and that is, you know, the biggest reason to use the tone paper is to make white pops. I wanted to mention, instead of using a normal pencil sharpener, because I was going to be coloring over such a large area of the paper with my pencil, I very carefully, and this is sped up a little, so it was a little more slow and careful in real life, but I used my X-Acto knife to get a much larger area of you know, create a larger surface area of the pencil so that I would have more to work with. I wouldn't have to sharpen it every couple minutes. It created a nice, long, blunt end to work with. Thank you so much for joining me in my video today. If you enjoy my work, please subscribe. I would love to hang out with you in future videos as well. Give this a like. Comment below if you have any questions or anything you'd like to add. And I will see you in our next video, which will be the fourth and final piece in this series of Halloween movies. I hope you all are having a wonderful October, and I will see you later. Bye!